almost $1,000 a month. Is that a lot of money for a nurse? But you're making implementations and you're very enthusiastic about making these implementations. And you need the people because the people is supposed to be the center of the improvement. So how does this balance out? What is the point? So you're saying, I heard earlier, put yourselves in the shoes of the others. Have you put yourselves in the shoes of the other? Making their job easier.
And if the hospitals spend less in overtime, they can eventually increase the wages.
Eventually.
Hopefully.
So now you're talking about something else, which is a promise that you're thinking it can be made. How many times those promises become true? But I don't want to get there in that direction. So we have this conflict right here. So we have to understand one thing. So if we're talking about perceptions, I'm going to give you one hint. Culture is defined by one thing. Culture is defined by context. Okay? So what is the context here? I want to bring you to the context of this thing. We're going to explain, first of all, how this came up, and second of all, why is it like it is? Why is it important for Toyota at the point when they created this system to reduce workforce? Why was it important? You read the paper? Genealogy of lean production. What did it say? Toyota was about to go on bankruptcy. All jobs were going to be lost. All of them. When they came up with this, was either we find a way to rescue as many people as possible, or we're going to lose everyone, right? But we cannot save every single person. So now let me put you in context. If I tell you we implement lean, we have to fire people. Or if I tell you we implement lean, we're going to save majority of the people, how does it sound? But I'm telling you practically the same thing. What makes the difference is the context, all right? That's what defines this. For that reason, we came up with a different structure, but I could share this with you later on. Our focus is mostly in segregating these group clusters of elements that have to be performed in order to achieve some of those goals that we have discussed about, all right? But the point here is what is actually needed for these things to happen. So we needed to understand how this started. So the first thing that we wanted to do is to understand the culture behind lean. So I told you a little bit part of the context. So, well, his change of section is 2:33. You have been here for 1 hour. Let's make a break. Come back in about 7 minutes. Okay, 2:40. Let's make a break.
我想回来。
Pensando isso. Sempre fiz isso mesmo. Faz muito espuma.
Deixa eu falar aqui pra mais
Acho que
Y luego retorno otra vez. Casi 2% de electricidad.
Eso que le pongo, no sé, que le pongo una batería de difícil. El 100% le pongo una batería que No, sí, así, ahorita sí. No, güey. Ah, puedes pelear porque comes con ellos. Bueno, fuera.
哎，你这个是从哪儿买的？多少钱一个？哦，最喜欢。用了好几天。You mean later? Okay. Okay. Good, but. Okay, okay.
She went to Nashville.
Yeah?
Okay, so are we ready, guys? Ready?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Good?
Good.
Yes? All right? When I was in high school, I had a professor that whenever he saw somebody sleeping, he would throw.
I have one.
We have one.
You do?
Yes.
Happy Meal.
So I have this, I have this,
Oh my
I have
god.
this. All right, guys. So we have to understand culture and we have to understand lean, how it connects to this. So, what is culture? We're talking about perceptions, right? And we're talking about that a lot of the perceptions are driven by the context, right? So, this is just a funny picture there that says, what is your opinion about food shortage in the rest of the world? So the Arab says, what does opinion mean? The American says, what does the rest of the world mean? The European says, what does shortage mean? And then the African, what does food mean? So culture is driven by the context and the perceptions we have around that context, right? So let me ask you one question. And then I'm going to go back to the exercise we did. The first question is, how many of you have been involved in a traffic jam? So what is a traffic jam?
Many cars, so slowly.
The cars move slowly.
Ah, every day.
They don't move. Okay, so for you to consider a traffic jam, that you were stuck on traffic, how much time do you have to wait?
1 hour.
1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? Okay. So, you've been here for a fair amount of time. Probably you visited before. Do you think there are traffic jams in the United States?
No.
No.
The freeway.
No.
For our
really.
Not really?
perspective.
They don't have traffic jams.
Okay. Who said they don't have traffic jams? Okay, fair enough. Stand up. You two guys. So everybody remembers you. All right. These guys said Americans don't have traffic jams. Laya, do you have traffic jams?
Absolutely.
All right. So I want to show you something. Don't fall asleep. Remember, I have a lot of tools here. All right. Let me do. This. All right. So apparently there is traffic jam in the United States. Let's give it some time. It looks like this. So this is a traffic jam in the freeway. I want you to see everything. What can you say here? Make notes about what you see. Well, it's very dark, but make notes of what you can see. So this is the intersection, and that's the outlet. There is this thing, attention wall. This is the car, one lane, other lane here. See, these cars are in the All right. What can you see there? Traffic jam in Washington, D.C.
This is not traffic.
I think that's normal.
It's normal. Yes.
It's normal?
Yes.
The car can move.
Every day you
Yes.
in Shanghai or another city.
So is this normal?
Yes.
So it's not a traffic jam.
No. This is look at
For a freeway, it's 60 hours.
All right. So, all right. I'm sorry that I'm gonna put you on the spot, Olaya, but what do you think about this?
It's terrible. It's the worst.
Oh my God.
I know a lot of people that if this happens, they're moving cities.
All right.
They move this.
If this happens, in what basis? Daily, weekly?
If this is an everyday thing, I know a lot of people that they couldn't tolerate it. They'd be like, I'm moving somewhere else.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, so you want to see more?
Yeah.
But real.
I'm gonna show you this one.
Ah, yes.
Oh yes.
Again, see what you see here.
Glaring red taillights of millions of people trying to get home. If you count up the hours, Paulistanos spend almost a month of every year sitting in traffic or stuck on a bus. We took to the skies to get a different perspective on a problem that costs the city almost $20 billion a year in lost time and lost productivity.
Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock, this is as bad as it gets. Not only do you get everyone coming out of work, you also get hundreds, thousands of families heading out of the city to enjoy a weekend at the beach or in the countryside.
Sao Paulo is Brazil's financial capital. Around 20 million people packed into the greater metropolitan area. Those who can afford to turn to helicopters, making Sao Paulo also the helicopter capital of the world. But the dream for the fast-growing middle class is to own a car. 3.4 million new cars hit the city's roads in the last decade. Unfortunately, road construction didn't keep up.
It's here on the ground that you can really feel the pain. The helicopter pilot was saying he watches people as they crawl along, taking an hour and a half to go 4 kilometers, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to do.
In an effort to speed things up, Sao Paulo forced cars off the road one day of the week based on license plate numbers. Many commuters simply went out and bought a second car. The longest traffic jam this year was 296 kilometers, more than 180 miles. So what's the solution? If you want to get out of the traffic, you can always use public transportation. There are buses, a metro system, but no guarantee it won't be just as congested. For years, city officials spent more money on new tunnels and bridges than on public transit. Sao Paulo is now expanding its metro lines, currently 3 times smaller than Mexico City's. New stops in the financial district have tempted some to leave their cars at home. But many other commuters say they're saving up so they can join that traffic rush. Without a doubt, I'd prefer a car, she says. As much as Paulistanos say they hate traffic, this is a car-loving culture that will be hard to change. Shasta Darlington, CNN, Sao Paulo.
All right, so now, is that a traffic jam?
You have.
Yeah, that's okay.
Would you live there, Eli?
Absolutely not.
All right, that's fair enough.
Okay, it happened 2 times in the day.
5 o'clock it's like, 7 is...
It's worse.
You worst.
All right, is that a traffic jam?
No.
Actually,
Not very
very
serious because it's happening every time in Beijing or Shanghai something.
All right. You want to see more?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I didn't include Mexico City here because it's very similar circumstances of Paulo.
Thank you.
All right. So let me show you this.
What is that city? Excuse me.
India.
By the way, this is regular traffic in Dubai. Okay? What are the differences you see? I want you to notice every single detail here. See this bus right here. You see traffic lights?
No.
All right. I was told once that traffic signals in India are not rules, are just suggestions. All right, so what do you think? Did you see lanes on the ground?
No.
Did you see a clear path of things?
No.
It's just fighting for space, right?
Yeah.
But even though they're fighting for space, you don't see anybody hitting anybody else. Order among chaos. You want to see more?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why do you go to a same place?
How long were they stuck in traffic in this time?
Days.
At least around 5 hours. And
I think in this one particular case, it was like 3 or 4 days.
I have stuck in this traffic for 5 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah.
Well,
我从北京到天津用了2天。
This is normal.
All right. So what do you think now? All right. So we saw 4 different contexts. We saw the same situation. All right. Now what is a traffic jam?
It's a concept.
The only reason that I asked this question is, again, we're talking about culture. We're talking about perception. We're talking about the perception being driven by the context. So, when I showed the picture of Washington, D.C., Laya said I wouldn't live there because his context tells him logically that's something unlivable. How many times have you been involved in something like that?
Maybe once or twice.
Once or twice.
Maybe.
So his perception about a traffic jam is as soon as something like that happens, right? When we shifted to Sao Paulo, that's something that happens almost every day, right?
yeah.
But if you get out of the traffic jam, the flow drives continuously, right? To some extent. So a traffic jam would be 2 hours? 3 or 4 at max. How frequently do you live through that?
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
Yes, because I have to go to my work and
Come back.
come back to my house.
Every time you are in the
Every day.
road, you are in the traffic.
Yes, twice a day.
I believe you 4 hours a day spent on traffic, in average. That's roughly similar. Who comes from Mexico City? You would say that you spend 4 hours in traffic, 5 hours a day?
No, well, yeah, I have to go to my school. It takes 10 minutes. There is no traffic. But I take 40.